Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the hidden mechanics behind the internet's most recognizable and honestly probably least understood waiting room. If you've spent any time at all browsing the web, you've definitely hit that sudden pause, right? That blank screen with the spinning wheel, or maybe just a tiny line of text asking you to hold on. Well, we're going to decode exactly what's going on in those microscopic seconds before you actually reach your destination. Okay, let's dive right into this incredibly familiar message. Just a moment. Performing security verification. You click a link for a super popular site, say Quora, expecting immediate answers, and instead, bam, you get hit with this. It's kind of like being stopped at the door of a massive library by a completely silent bouncer. You aren't being rejected exactly, but you definitely aren't being allowed straight in either. Section 1. The ubiquitous security screen. So, what's really happening while you're staring at that screen? The site is actively deploying a temporary shield. In those brief moments, a lightning-fast, totally invisible interrogation is taking place. The website is essentially saying, hey, I see you knocking, but before I open this door and hand over all my resources, I need to verify you're an actual human being sitting at a device and not some automated machine. Section 2. The threat of malicious bots. To understand why we even have to wait, we really have to look at the invisible enemy here. This whole setup is deployed for one main reason: to protect the website against malicious bots that are just constantly roaming the internet. And to put this into perspective, nearly half of all internet traffic is actually generated by bots. Think about that. Websites like Quora are massive repositories of really valuable human knowledge. If they just left their front doors wide open, automated scripts would absolutely flood their servers. They'd scrape data, probe for vulnerabilities, the whole shebang. So this tiny waiting screen, it's literally the frontline defense keeping that whole digital ecosystem safe. Section 3. The digital ID check. So how does it actually tell you apart from a bot? Well, behind the scenes, the system quietly requires you to enable JavaScript and cookies. Think of these standard browser features like your digital ID cards. Malicious bots usually operate using these stripped-down, super rudimentary browsers that don't even bother processing complex JavaScript or storing cookies. Why? Because doing so just takes up way too much time and computing power if you're trying to launch a mass attack. So by requiring these specific features, it acts as a quick reflex test. If your browser processes them normally, the system instantly gains confidence that, yep, you're human. And that brings us to the actual step-by-step process happening in the blink of an eye. Step 1, your connection is intercepted. Step 2, those technical settings, the JavaScript and cookies, are checked completely automatically. You don't have to lift a finger. And finally, step 3, once you pass that silent test, verification successful. The silent bouncer steps aside, the door unlocks, and your request is seamlessly handed over to your destination. Section 4. Infrastructure, performance, and privacy. Now, you might have noticed this incredibly cryptic code at the very bottom of the waiting screen, the Ray ID. What's fascinating about this is that it acts as a highly specific digital receipt for your exact interaction with this security shield. If something actually goes wrong, or say you get incorrectly blocked, this Right ID allows network administrators to trace your specific request through a massive global web of traffic. It's a remarkably organized system of logging and accountability. And orchestrating this entire behind-the-scenes checkpoint is an infrastructure powerhouse called Cloudflare. This really highlights a massive shift in how the modern internet operates. Big sites outsource their front door security to these specialized global networks that make sure the site runs incredibly fast, while simultaneously filtering out the bad actors. Plus, because this middleman is briefly analyzing your browser's behavior, they are legally and ethically bound to operate under a strict privacy policy. This ensures total transparency about how they're handling your data during that split-second verification. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought. We all know it's incredibly easy to just tap our fingers impatiently when we see "just a moment" pop up. But when you understand the invisible mechanics behind it, the rapid interception, the reflex tests, the active filtering of billions of malicious bots, all happening in mere milliseconds, it kind of completely changes your perspective, doesn't it? The next time you're asked to hold at the digital door, will you just see it as a minor annoyance? Or will you recognize it as the essential invisible shield that's actually keeping the internet functional for all of us?